Welcome to Sidebars. Today we're going to be talking about a oft overlooked skill set, which is the idea of properly setting client expectations. I would argue that in some cases like family law, some crim cases, which we'll get into, setting the client's expectations is actually as important or more important than the manner in which you're offering representation and the facts of the case and the procedures of the case. Clients need an advisor, not a cheerleader. And a lot of times during the enrollment process, we either intentionally or just maybe by accident don't properly set the client's expectations, and it leads to a lot of issues down the line. Keep in mind, with our experience levels, a lot of times we already know what's going to happen in the case. I'm a family law attorney. It's like I can see the future. If there's a child in the middle, the court's going to do what's in the best interest of the kid. You know, you're not going to take somebody that's an ex-heroin addict and all of a sudden they end up with primary custody. I've had a number of those clients come through the door where their expectations are so out of whack that they truly think like, hey, I was on heroin. I'm doing a lot better now. I don't see why I shouldn't get equal access to my child. And there's a temptation there when you're talking about the business of law. I could not fully disclose to that client that he's not going to get his goal, at least for a long time, and run the risk that he doesn't hire me. He might want a cheerleader that says, oh man, you're totally going to get shared custody and you're going to end up winning this case. Oftentimes, depending on the area of law, the case is incredibly predictable. A lot of times in criminal court, the attorney has a very good idea of the level of culpability involved. And although you're going to fight your hardest to get your client the result they want, you might understand that there's a 75% chance they're going to jail and a 25% chance that you can get them off. You need to disclose that to them. Because what happens is during the enrollment process, they say, am I going to go to jail? And a lot of times the attorney might hesitate to tell them the truth because, if I tell them there's a likelihood they will, the next attorney is going to tell them they won't, and they're going to hire them instead of me. That's okay. That's a situation where you're still protecting yourself. You're not lying to the client or being dishonest. This skill manifests itself in a number of different ways. The first part is the most quantifiable, the financial impact on the client's life. Okay, yeah, you're going to pay me a retainer right now. Are you fully explaining that when their retainer is depleted, you're going to ask for another $3,000-$4,000, and if they don't have it, you're going to drop their case? Because if you haven't done so and you just kind of buried it in your fee agreement, that's going to lead to a lot of issues and a lot of unhappy, disgruntled clients. Support payments. This is a really important one. You might have parents that think they can't afford your services. And little do they understand that in 1 month's time, they're going to start collecting child support payments, spousal support payments. They're going to be in a better position, right? On the flip side, if you're representing the income earning spouse, do they know that they're going to be paying you and then within a month's time paying alimony and spousal support? All of those things need to be communicated very clearly up front. Going from a dual income to a single income. People get accustomed to a certain quality of life. They don't quite understand what it means to pay their own rent, groceries for their own car insurance, somewhere for their child to stay when they're with them. You need to help guide them through that and advise them properly. The second part of this is simply trying to project what's going to happen in the case. Again, the worst thing you can do is set too high of expectations and the client have a massive letdown. Quick sidebar, this is the genesis of all disciplinary complaints. You tell a guy he's not going to go to jail, he's got to go to jail for years. That person's going to issue a complaint. You tell somebody they're going to get primary custody, they end up with supervised custody. You're going to get a D-board complaint. Tell the truth. Tell them what's really going to happen. Keep yourself safe. This process is already emotionally taxing enough for the clients, right? They don't know what's going to happen. Their whole life is falling apart. It's your job to let them know that their life's not falling apart and where it's actually going to go. What's their custody going to look like? What's the judge looking for? You know, everybody has those clients that say, hey, I want you to go in there and tear the other person's head off. We all know that doesn't go over very well. That actually hurts your chances at success in your case. So it's really important to explain to them the decorum expected by the court. They're used to watching television and movies about what we do. That's their only knowledge of our world. So it's critical that you bridge that gap, show them the reality. In family law, if you're not telling your client that they are the ones that win or lose their case, it's borderline malpractice. There's nothing we can do if they're moving forward in time, continually misbehaving and destroying their case. So it's really important to let them know, unlike other areas of law, criminal law, what's it do? It shines a spotlight on one moment in time. Did you do this or didn't you? Personal injury shines a moment on one point in time. Who's responsible for you getting hurt? Was it somebody else? Should they have to pay that out? Something like family law, even PI. Yep, you got hurt. It's somebody else's fault. No, you cannot go play basketball at the park because you're feeling good today. That's going to destroy your case. We've all had countless examples of that happening where you didn't think you had to explain this to the person. Of course you do. We do this every single day. And so again, when we're talking about family law, especially, we're looking at a continuing litigation stream where they need to continue to behave and continue to treat the other person with respect, right? That's another thing. How does the court expect you to treat the other person that you can't stand? They expect you to treat them with respect, dignity, someone the child should hold up as someone to be respected. There are so many aspects of what we do where we think, okay, we're the expert. They're going to come to us. We're going to win their case. We'll tell them we're just going to handle it. Great. You are. And it's important to make them feel safe, but it's also important to educate them about how our world works. That's going to keep you out of some kind of jackpot with the D board. It's going to keep you away from malpractice suits because the client knew this was coming. This was the expected result. You know, everybody has war stories. I'm a family law attorney. I have never had an equitable distribution trial. Yes, I've had hearings and mediations and gone to hearing officers for a preliminary hearing. My cases don't get to the equitable distribution phase because I explain to my clients, this is the world's most boring poker game. Everybody turns their cards up, pushes the money in the middle. I can already tell you what's going to happen here. How much money do you want to spend to actually get to that place? It's very important to explain to them the course of their case, the financial implications, what's going to happen with their standard of living, with what they're used to. Just to tie a bow on this isn't the most complicated thing. And some of you might be sitting there thinking,
yeah, obviously, guy. I don't need 10 minutes of you talking to me about how to tell clients what's going to happen in the case.
There are plenty of people out there that simply don't think this is an important part of it. I'm going to take care of them. I'm going to handle it. No problem. Just keep in mind, how does any relationship end that starts with a lie or an omission of the truth or a distortion of the truth of what's going to happen? It always ends badly. To do our jobs properly, to do our jobs ethically, and most importantly, just to do our jobs well, please keep in mind that this is a critical part of that process. Thanks for joining us today. And in the comments below, please let me know how good of a job you're doing at setting your client's expectation. And as always, please like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.